Hello guys, welcome to the day 14th of our coding challenge series, and today we are solving this problem, which is row with maximum ones. Given a m by n binary matrix met, find the zero index position of the row that contains the maximum count of ones and the number of ones in that row. In case there are multiple rows that have the maximum count of ones, the row with the smallest row number should be selected. So in the case when we will have multiple rows with the same count of ones and the ones are in maximum occurrence, so the row with the smallest row number should be selected and return an array containing the index of the row and the number of ones in it. So basically you see that it's a 2D array. In the example one, if we have we have mat equals to 0 comma 1, so this is the first row, this is the second row. You can consider this as I0 and this array is I1. So both rows, so we see an output as 0 comma 1. So 0 is basically this first array I0, this is the first row, and 1 is the maximum number of times once 1 came within the rows. So both rows have the same number of ones, because you know that if in the case when both the number of ones is same in all the rows, so we return the index of the smaller row. So in this case we have 1 as an equal, so we return the index which is the row with the lowest index, which is 0, right? This is I0, so we return 0 first and then we return the 1, because this is the occurrence of 1. Okay, so if we have like 0 comma 1 comma 1, and in this we have, for example, 1 comma 1 comma 0, so this would become 0 comma 2, because 0 is again the smallest and 0 is again the smallest index, and 1 would come twice, so it would become 0 comma 2. And in the example 2 also you can see that if mat is equals to 0 comma 0 comma 0, 0 comma 1 comma 1, so this is the first row, this is the second row, I0 and I1. Okay, so the row index of 1 has the maximum count of ones, which is 2. So you see among these, the second row, which is this, which has position I1, has maximum number of ones, right? So we first of all return the index of this particular row, which is 1, as you can see, and the count of maximum number of ones that occur, which is 2. So we return 1 comma 2. Similarly in this example also we can see that row index 1 has the maximum count of ones, which is 2, so 1 comes twice, so we return 1 comma 2. First of all we can initialize a output array, because we need to return an array, as you see in the example 1 and all the other examples, that we need to return an array of length 2. The first index would contain the index position of the row, and the second would contain the count of ones, the maximum count of ones, right? So I can initialize an empty array with length 2. I can call this array output equals to new and give it a length of 2, because we know that we are always outputting an array with length 2, right? And then initialize a count variable to count the occurrences of ones in each row, and an integer max count to compare this count variable with max count to see if, to basically check if the counts in the previous rows are greater or not, because we need to return the row, as you saw, which has the maximum number of ones, right? So, and then I can run a loop over the array. And then run another nested loop, because it's a 2D array. J would be lesser than I dot And this array, so the first array I, as in the example I, we can demonstrate that this is I0, this is I1, and the second for loop which is J, so this is J0, this is J1, again this is J0, this is J1, uh, sorry, the 0 is 1, J1. Okay, and then we can check here, like if mat at position I j is equals to 1, if so we can increment the counter. We can increment the counter. By the way, with after checking each j, we also need to reinitialize the counter as 0. So I would do here as count equals to 0, and just remove this thing, because after checking each j, for example here count would be 1, so I need to make count 0 again, otherwise it will count these whole as 2, right? So this is wrong. So this is count 1, count becomes 0 again, then the I, we have I1, so this would also be count 1. Similarly, this will have count 0, and when it will run over this, so it will have count 2. So after doing this, we can, okay, now we need to output, right? So we can use the if condition, like if count is greater than max count, so we want the output array at position 0 to be I. So I is the index, you know that we need to return the row, and at the second position we will keep the, we will have the occurrence, the maximum occurrence of ones. So we would basically write here count. And after doing this, so we know that we have stored 0 at 0th position at first position, so we need to make max count also, we need to reinitialize max count as well. So we would store the value of count to max count. So after doing this, we would simply then return output array. I hope you understood the algorithm. I hope you understood the code. So for example, if we consider this example, right, so this is I0, so when it runs over this, so we have count as 0, and when it comes to this particular loop, so it will check first of all this position, so okay, it's not equals to 1, but this is equals to 1, so counter will become 1. And if counter is greater than max count, so if 1 is greater than 0, so yes, 1 is greater than 0, so at 0th position we will have 0, and at the first position we will have 1, and the max counter will also reinitialize, and max count will become now 1. Then we again the count becomes 0, and now we check this row. So at the first position we found that we have it equal to 1, so count becomes 1, and again we check if count is greater than max count, so max count was previously 1 and count is 1 now, so 1 is not greater than 1, so we simply return the output, which is 0, 1. And it also works for the other examples. So let's run this and check if the test case is passed. So yeah, the test case is passed, and now let's submit the solution. Okay, so we got 5 milliseconds of runtime. I hope you understood. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the comment section, and see you guys in the next video.